A month to go, what is your assessment of the implementation of that 10%?
They have done absolutely zero, and we will go with you one by one.
Okay.
I want to start with that MOU because there are some issues which came up even in your bulletin. The MOU is here because I brought copies that have been signed, and I want to show your viewers so that they don't say Sifuna comes here with his own things. First of all, this MOU, you know, we need to educate the public. There's a lot of ignorance out there. This MOU bears 2 signatures. I don't know if they can zoom in on my copy.
Yeah.
Do you see Sifuna's signature here? There are only 2 signatures, Yvone, if you can read from where you are. Who are these people who signed this MOU? It's the President, William Ruto, and Raila Odinga. Those are the people who signed this document. We wrote it. They signed it. Now, if you have to extend this MOU, you have to talk to Raila. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we start with point number 1. We said the first issue that we agreed upon, because these are the issues that were important to Raila Odinga, the full implementation of the NADCO report. So what was the NADCO report? And you have to go back to that NADCO conversation, and I'll give you just quick highlights. The first one was an audit of the 2022 elections. You have just asked me here about the question of this CEO exiting. Majan has a lot of questions to answer, not just to members of ODM and the opposition or supporters of Raila Odinga, but to the country about what happened in 2022. So this is what we agreed in NADCO, a comprehensive evaluation of the 2022 electoral process to enhance transparency and public trust. That has not happened. And I challenge that Agnes Zani-led committee to show us where an audit of 2022 has happened. The next one, government expenditure cuts. All government arms should reduce travel budgets by 50%. Just the other day, you saw in the newspapers a report. Kindiki, the deputy president, 340 million shillings expenditure or budget for his travel, private jets and choppers. Number 3, devolution support. Calls for the national governments to finalize the transfer of all devolved functions to county governments. I want them to demonstrate to us how that has been done. Finally, there was a question of the political parties regulation, where Baba, through NADCO, had agreed with the UDA to establish an independent political parties regulatory commission to oversee registration and funding of political parties. Even this question of funding of political parties, I can state authoritatively here that the money and the resources you see being spent in those ODM rallies, the so-called underground, those monies are not coming from ODM headquarters.
Where are they coming from?
You will ask them. Because for me, this is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm telling you. I can only account for monies that, because I'm a signatory to the bank accounts, forget this rubbish you hear people saying here. Timothy Bosire, the treasurer, is a signatory to the bank accounts. The last money we expended as ODM, officially, was for the celebrations in Mombasa. And it was a fraction of what we saw there. So I am telling you, I know for a fact, there is parallel funding for activities clothed in ODM colors. And they go around running around saying they are ODM delegates. So this is the problem that we have.
Just one moment.
Yes.
So we can go step by step. So what you're saying is the Linda Ground...
those rallies are not financed from party headquarters or party coffers. That one I can tell you for a fact. Including
what we have seen in terms of gaining, public support or sentiment for the pre-election coalition pact, which we will talk about. I
am telling you,
the party
all those activities that you have seen, including those ones that you are referring to, there is no money that I executed a check for from party coffers or headquarters. In fact, we didn't have any money. The third quarter of the financial year, the remittance came, I think, 2 weeks ago, about 100 million shillings, and it is a drop in the ocean to what, when compared to what exactly ODM is supposed to receive. As we speak, Yvonne, ODM is owed a total of 12 billion shillings by Treasury. Yet we are being told that my former chairperson is the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury. So if you go just by that issue alone on the implementation of National Dialogue Committee report, the score there is 0. And I challenge anybody to come up with a better score if they have done the things that Baba agreed to do. Number 2 was inclusivity in all spheres of public life. This is what they parrot around, saying, oh, they have employed somebody from Western, they have employed somebody from Coast, they have employed somebody. Baba, when we were discussing these issues, it was not about positions and which tribe gets what. We have turned into the Rigathi Gachagwas of today. We are the ones speaking the language of shares. We are the ones saying the cow should be divided into 2 halves and 50-50. I mean, we for all the condemnation that they extend to Rigathi Gachagua, they are the ones speaking the language of shares now because they have tested government power.
Is this not inclusivity in public?
This is what I'm saying. Inclusivity. If you look,
appointments not
just
level.
Look at the text. Kenya belongs to all persons regardless of their ethnicity, religion, generation, or geographic location. This is the thinking that went into this. You understand? So it is not just about getting 2 lawyers employed. No. It is not just about even religious and even geographical discrimination. These are things that you have to look at.
And you think that's not been done?
Well, you can say the inclusion of a few people who would never have got an opportunity in any government is positive, but that one will give them 20% out of 100. Protecting and strengthening devolution. Yeah. Baba wanted specifically in this financial year that we are concluding 450 billion shillings to go to counties. They gave us 415, not 450. Now, when you look at what is happening with the counties themselves, as a senator, I can tell you, we have been, there was a time when the regime was making a lot of noise saying they're up to date with remittances. Counties are struggling, Yvonne, because they go up to 2-3 months without disbursement of their shares, equitable share. And then they tell us they are supporting devolution. This one, on NADCO, in terms of, transfer of all devolved functions, have all functions been devolved? We still have national government entities, especially in the water sector, running devolved functions. This has not been done. And I challenge anybody to tell me that this has been done. Let's go until number 10. So did we get 450 billion?
Yes, so what's
we did not get 450 billion. So if we agreed on 450 and you give me 415, you cannot say you have done it.
So you give a score on
of zero. Of zero, let them come and tell us their score.
All right, economic...
Promoting and protecting the livelihoods of young people. Just today in your bulletin, Yvonne, and this is tied up with this other issue of stopping extrajudicial killings. We have police officers being accused in Kahawa West of torturing and killing 2 young people, stuffing maize in their bodies and torturing them to death and beating them with blunt objects. Have killings stopped? I have counted upwards of 20 people, young people, killed by this regime after signing this document. And we can go through that list from the gentleman in Kitale to Albert Ojwang. All of those things happened after signing of this MOU. So we can pontificate about this so-called Nyota program, which, by the way, is an abuse of public resources. Abuse of public resources. Because how can you turn the distribution of these resources funded by the World Bank, by the way, which we have to all pay back, and turn them into UDA rallies? How can you do that? And nobody is saying anything about it. So this one, number 4, let them give us their score. I will give them 0. Leadership and integrity.
And the end of opulence.
Let me not even start. Let me not even start. This is the problem that got us into the 2024 quagmire in the first place. I've given you the example of Kindiki and his private jets. Should we still be seeing such opulence in government? We are being told that State House runs through its budget of mandazi and soda way before the financial year closes. So let them explain to us.
All right. On the right to peaceful assembly, compensation of all
this one, you know the answer. You know the answer. First of all, ODM is a public funded organization that was built on the back of peaceful assembly and protests. No ODM leader should be heard saying we can limit or fetter the right to Article 37 in any way. Because ODM is maandamano.
All right. On that, let me ask you this, because we've seen the CS for Treasury speaking. I believe it was just yesterday that he has seen the economic impact of protests in the country, that for 1 month of protests, it takes about 3 months to recover.
Yes.
And I guess he says that based on what he's saying is his new position and his new information that is available.
Yeah, what he forgets that there is a reason, a cause for those maandamano. What was the reason for why the young people went to the streets in 2024? They didn't just wake up and go. It is the intransigence and the refusal to listen by people who are in elective positions that drives people to exercise these rights. You know, even for us, as ODM...
Other party leaders have also said, maandamano hamtarudi tena.
This is the point, because those are not our only choices. Opposition is not synonymous with maandamano. There are other ways to hold the government account, and nobody is saying, if you leave the broad-based government, you go to the streets. Who has told you that? Nobody has said any of that. You have to have a reason, an excuse for you to be on the streets. When we went to the streets in 2023 with Baba, and by the way, many of these people who are speaking here, I never saw them in the streets with Raila. But these days, they are the experts on how maandamano is a bad thing or a good thing. They were not there, and everybody knows this. Now, there were reasons, including cost of living. The cost of living was so high that we had to go to the streets putting sufurias on our heads to demonstrate that we need food for our people. You know, when we were talking about audit of the 2022 elections, that is a reason, a valid reason for you to be able to go on the streets. And we didn't start on the streets, Yvonne. I remember we did a rally at Jivanji here. And we set out all these conditions and we say, please, we are giving government opportunity to address these issues. We even suggested how some of those issues could be addressed. When they are ignored, you move to this public action, which includes the rights under Article 37. Since this document was signed with UDA committing to respect the right under Article 37, how many peaceful protests have you seen being broken up violently and brutally? Many, they are countless, including now we are at a situation where they even tear gas churches, people who rode on the church to gain access to power. These days, they don't even respect our freedom of worship, that I'm not safe in church. And many people don't know that it is not just a specific leader. I know they talk about Gachagua and his incidents. And by the way, I need to say this. The Raila Odinga that I knew would never wish the worst even on his own worst enemy. Raila Odinga in power, or in cooperation with a party in power, would not allow the tear gassing of the devil in church. That's what I'm telling you. So when you see people saying, oh, you can tear gas this one because he's a bad person, he used to do the same to us, you can call out regarding this hypocrisy when he was in power. But that doesn't make it right that now, because he's outside of power, it is okay for him to be tear gassed in church. So this one, under Article 37 and compensation, don't even begin about compensation. Don't even get me started about compensation. Nothing has been done. It has not been done. Article 37 has been repeatedly violated even after we signed this document.
The audit of the national debt and how it has been used, that is point number 10 of the 10 points. Point number 7 of the 10 points.
We don't have an audit of our national debt. In fact, what we have is litigation in our courts on this thing that Jimmy and his friends call odious debt, which I personally don't understand very well, but I know what they're saying, is that if we borrowed money for the benefit of the people of Kenya, and we don't see that benefit and we can't point to a single project to which this money went to, it was stolen, then it should not be demanded from the people of Kenya, that the people who took that money should be made to answer. So you would have to show me an audit of the public debt for you to say we have complied with Article 7.
Number 8, fighting corruption.
Yeah, let us be shown.
Soak up flexible bookings on the booking.com app.
Now, between the 7 say we have complied with Article 7.
Number 8, fighting corruption.
Yeah, let us be shown how. Between the 7th of March and today, let us be shown if corruption in government has been fought in any way. And I can tell you, Yvonne, by the way, many of us, we miss Raila. It's just that sometimes we don't know what to do. There is, I was supposed to be in Turkana with the Energy Committee this week because we're doing public participation on this so-called field development plan. I want to tell Kenyans this is going to be the biggest scandal this country has ever seen. Biggest corruption scandal this country has ever seen. Because, Yvonne, you have a situation where the operator or the oil company that has been given the go-ahead to do this FDP, you see changes in its ownership within a matter of days before the FDP is approved by the Ministry of Energy. You see changes in the original contract to push the cost recovery rate from 65% to actually 55% to 85% in a matter of days after approval of that FDP. There are so many things that point to obvious corruption in that particular deal. And I can assure you, if we do not fight that particular issue, Kenya is not going to see a single shilling of that oil.
Okay, so that is point number 8. And point number 9 and number 10, I think you've spoken about.
Absolutely.
Which is the stoppage of wastage of public resources and protecting the sovereignty of the people, respecting the rule of law and press freedom, and stopping abductions, right?
Correct.
So it would seem that you don't think the 10-point agenda, one, has been implemented in any way?
No,
From point number 1 to point number 10, there was 1 point I think you gave.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
And the other thing
this is the communication.
Is you do not feel that that committee that is to oversee the implementation of this 10-point agenda has done much with just a month to go. So
yeah, let's read the communication again. This document is signed by 2 people. I hope you can see the signatures here. Sifuna is not a signatory to this document. It is His Excellency the President and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And I want to read verbatim so that people don't say Sifuna makes up his own things. It says the committee will commence its work immediately and will submit progress reports to a joint Kenya Kwanza ODM parliamentary group on a quarterly basis. How many quarters have passed since this document was written? At least 2 quarters have passed. Have you seen those reports? No. A final comprehensive report detailing the status of the MOU's implementation will be released to the public on March 7th, 2026. So we have 30 days to go.
You are essentially saying, because we're getting messages here from people who are members of this committee, you are essentially saying that this committee has not fulfilled its mandate to oversee the implementation of this agenda? I am saying
it is not up to the committee, because that committee, I have a lot of sympathy for them, because I know most of the things that needed or were required to be done are supposed to be done by government. If you can tell, you can't, for instance, ask Agnes Zani why those 2 kids were killed in Kawa West.
So why have the committee?
That's not up to him.
So why have the committee in the first place then, if you're saying it?
Why do what?
Why have the committee in the first place?
Now, this committee, that's why I started by the last time that I was here. This committee flowed out of the conversation we had here. Because when we raised grave concerns about the status of the implementation of the MOU, there were those in the Central Committee who felt that maybe it's because we don't have a committee to oversee. But my point when I was here is that there is no goodwill on the part of William Ruto to implement the MOU. Because from the beginning, they were not interested in the contents of the MOU. They were interested in getting a document, which, by the way, they have done very well. For as long as there is a document here, you can say we are in government and in partnership together. And I want to clear one thing up, Yvonne. I don't know how many times I can explain this. This MOU is not what birthed the broad-based government. This document is dated 7th of March 2025. That's when this MOU was signed. By that time, Kina Oparanya and Kina Joho were in cabinet. Kina Joho and Oparanya and company went to cabinet as a result of the March, June 2024 protest. By July of that year, they were in cabinet. That is the genesis of the broad-based government. This document is not what established the broad-based government. This document, in fact, when you read it, it says that we are not forming. It does not form, or is not the basis of the formation of a coalition with UDA. But they conflate issues, and they use this document as an excuse for the broad-based government's existence. You know? So what we want is, we want an implementation of this MOU. And we have only 30 days to go. We will not accept anybody coming to tell us that they want an extension.
So here is a message from a member of the committee. It says, on matters full implementation of the NADCO report, for instance, we require some legislation to be passed by both the Senate and the National Assembly, including on issues on the audit. Yeah,
we don't want stories and excuses. They are supposed to give us reports.
SG, hang on.
They are supposed to give us reports.
One second.
Yes.
Let me finish. Senate and the National Assembly are even yet to pass the bicameral bill because of superiority competition. They say they have gone around the country, started stakeholder engagement with members of the public, which begin early next month. This is an old article that they are referencing, but that they have moved to develop what they call key performance indicators.
Where in this document were we looking for benchmarking reports?
Well, perhaps that's an operation.
Can they stop wasting our time?
Yeah.
Let them stop wasting our time and public resources. We do not need benchmarking tours for us not to kill our children, Yvonne. That's not what is required. So if somebody is telling us they are developing implementation matrices 1 month to the deadline, those people should pack up and go. They are wasting taxpayer money.
So should they not continue then with their work?
Let them do the work, not tell us about mattresses.
Do you think
that's what I'm telling you?
Do you think they can do the work in the next
Let's see what miracles they can pull if they have not been able to do it from the time when they were constituted up to now.
Okay.
Let's see what miracle those mattresses they are developing will help them pull.
All right.